You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Cricket Podcast. England are in South Africa. We'll be going deep on that, the beef between the two teams, and whether England are bad now. India have been pummeling New Zealand and winning the Under-19s World Cup, so it looks like their future is secure. And Pakistan have been doing Pakistan stuff. We've got a PCB little segment coming up in part 3. That and all your questions as usual. I'm Jack Hope. I'm joined by Ross Legg with his new microphone. How you doing, Ross Legg?
Oh, well, you tell me. How do I sound? Because I think I sound bloody brilliant.
You sound
Crystal
like you're
clear.
It sounds like you're in the room rather than calling in from a submarine. And we're joined by Max Rowe Brown. Max, how you doing?
Oh yeah, very well, very well. It's really nice to have Ross on the same mic train as us now.
I've got new headphones and everything. I'm fully professional now. This is our 4th year of doing this, so it's about time.
Yeah. It's taken 4 years for us to each buy a microphone.
We even got one of our guests a microphone before Ross got one.
We did. Think about that. We've been making a podcast for 40. We've got Patreon, so people who pay us money for additional content. We've got an announcement to make about joining a network. Ross is going to tell you all about that. But it took us 4 years to buy microphones. Don't ever think to yourself like you're letting yourself down, you're not working hard enough. Look what we've managed to accomplish. And that's the level. They're the levels we're working at. Boys, before we get into it, Ross, we'll do the announcement pretty near the top. But before we get into that, I actually want your first thoughts to be on the biggest news in cricket this week, or today, in fact. Murali Vijay has retired.
Yeah, well, I'm devastated. I thought he was going to get an IPL gig, like such a devastatingly good, explosive batsman for T20 cricket. Yeah, a loss to the Indian game.
Maybe you can sort of take the edge off that loss by giving us a Murali Vijay fact every episode when you're done with the Kohli facts.
Well, we'll see what other bets I lose across this year, shall we?
Cool, right. That's Murali Vijay done, so we can get on to the fun stuff. But first, Ross, what is the announcement?
I've written a little thing for this as well. I thought it was worth a bit of content.
Yeah.
I thought it was worth it. So here
Copy.
we go. So
is that what they call it?
Yeah, it is copy. Yeah. So 2023 is the 4th year of us creating the Cricket Podcast, and every one of you listening right now has helped to create a community who enjoy listening to our squabbles and our theories, leaving comments on our YouTube shows and asking great questions on social media, and obviously our Patreon Discord. We wanted to start this show with a thank you to everyone who continues to support what we do and reiterate our desire to continue doing the show. What this means for us is extending the reach of the podcast to bring new people into the Cricket Podcast community. And we're going to do that by joining the Sport Social Podcast Network. This will be slightly alter your listening and viewing experience, as there will be a couple of small ad breaks that will be introduced. But we're hoping you'll understand and you'll continue to watch, continue to engage and share what we're creating, as we've got great things ahead of us for 2023. And as you know, we're only in it for the glory. So without you, there is no glory. So there we go.
Very good, Ross. Yeah, we're excited to announce that. It will mean a couple of ads here and there, but it will mean that we actually make money. Well, maybe not make money, but break even money. On the pod. Fellas, England and South Africa. Let's get into the good stuff. England are 2-0 down. Jason Roy's good again. Jofra Archer was rubbish. Tons for Rassie van der Dussen and Temba Bavuma are the highlights. Would anyone like to explain what's happened in the cricket, or do you want to just get into talking points?
Well, I think England just lost, didn't they? Twice. So I think people who have been watching it. There's been a bit of needle in the game.
Yes,
a bit of housery, as some people might want to call it. So you had Joss Buttler versus Rassie van der Dussen, and you had Sam Curran celebrating quite wildly against Temba Bavuma.
I thoroughly enjoyed the prospect of giving it to someone who's just smashed you around the park for 100. That's possibly not quite the time to be giving it large to someone, but there you go.
Here's a question. Let's get into, well, I mean, if we're going to do the beef first, I want to get into the beef. Why was there beef? Ross, you said you watched the whole ODI. I mean, I dipped in and out of it. I played an entire football match and came home and watched the end of it. Like, why was there needle?
I think there's always been a bit of needle between these two sides. So do you remember, especially even with Joss Buttler, do you not remember when Villan Furlander, is that the name? Philander?
Vernon Philander. Close.
What did I say?
I don't even know. I don't even know what you said.
Verlander. I did the other way around.
The nine, the philanderer. I think is what you said.
I think that is what I said. Vinay the philanderer. And he told him to get out the way and called him a big lump. But it was
move your gut, didn't he?
Yeah. He was not very nice. So, and there was a few expletives. And I think just from there, I'm guessing there's just been a little bit between these teams where they are very, very competitive. And they're obviously always sharing dressing rooms when they're playing on the franchise circuit. And I guess that sometimes they're just elite athletes, right? There's always going to be a bit of needle. And I actually think there needs to be more needle.
Okay.
That's what I think.
How do you propose we get more needle into the game?
So the demerit point system is sometimes good, but it's also sometimes bad. So you look at what happened.
It's a very balanced view.
Flip it on its head.
With
merit points for being a dick.
Yeah. So if you add to the spectacle of the game, I think you should be rewarded for that. I think it should be like, so Rabada got banned. So when England were last in South Africa, he got banned from a test match, and you had one of the elite test match players, or one of the elite bowlers in world cricket, banned because he celebrated in front of one of our players getting out. Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't think that warrants a demerit point. I think that is just part and parcel. If you are a guy who's coming in and bowling around 90 miles an hour against one of the best players in the world, like, you have to fire yourself up. There has to be something that pumps you to get through that, right? And I think we want to see more of that, not less of that. But that there does come what you see in football, where you see people hounding referees and hounding all that kind of stuff, that seeps into the grassroots level, and then it causes bother there because you've got kind of amateur referees getting the abuse of players who really aren't very good, and also having a massive. What are we saying here?
If you're really good, you're allowed to be a dick.
Yeah.
If you're really shit, you have to shut up. That's what I'm getting.
As long as the umpire is a fully paid umpire.
Then
all bets are off.
Yeah, all bets are off. He's paid to make a decision, and if he makes the wrong decision, you're very welcome to take the piss out of him.
Okay, all right, Ross. Well, that's
cricket fixed.
Yeah, that's cricket fixed. It's not where I thought the South Africa discussion was going to go. I thought we'd be talking about why England are crap now.
I've got a whole list of that. Yeah.
Okay, so look, I think we can say, first of all, credit to South Africa. They played very well. Tons from Rassie. That was a good one in the first match. Caught almost all of that. Timber Bavuma's been really good. Killer Miller coming to the party. Marco Janssen also batting pretty well. And in the first match, they bowled really, really, really well. Exceptionally well to wrestle the game back. What did England need? Like 40 with 6 wickets in hand or something mad like that, and lost by 27.
Yeah, it was ended up being like 103 for 8 or something, wasn't it? The England second innings at the end.
Yeah.
Like
maybe it wasn't 40, but yeah,
it was quite the comeback.
So well done, South Africa. They're doing what they always do, aren't they? In between ICC tournaments. Really nailing the bilaterals, building themselves up, ready for their group stage exit.
They're in a position here, Jack, where they needed to win this series 3-0 and then beat Netherlands 2-0 to actually qualify for the World Cup.
Automatically qualify?
Yes, automatically qualify. Obviously, you expect them to anyway, but we want them to automatically qualify. But yeah, I mean, I think they forfeited a few games, didn't they? So they're playing catch up on the West Indies. So they've got a lot on the line for this one, which may also explain where some of the needles come from.
That could be true. He also gives these games. I mean, I described these games as friendlies on Twitter earlier, but I guess for
South Africa, they're quite important.
They're not. Yeah. Maybe for England they are friendlies. So that's a weird dynamic of the whole qualification system. All right, but South Africa, I think we could agree, very much deserve to be winning the series. But we want to focus on England. As somebody tweeted us, are we happy that England are bad again, so that we can revert back to the podcast old format,
so much more comfortable now,
where we just slate England. So Ross, I know you had prepared some notes and you wanted to talk about this. Where are we going to start with are England bad now diatribe?
Well, let's start with the things that are causing people some worry. So there's 5 losses in a row now. The last time that happened, Owen Morgan was installed as the leader of the revolution. our last series win was our little jaunt over the channel to the Netherlands.
Gave them a lesson, though, didn't we?
Oh, we showed them, didn't we? We've now lost to Australia, India, and South Africa. So they're not
pretty notoriously poor sides.
Yeah. No real history there when it comes to the white ball game. Since the World Cup win, we've lost key members of the side. So Morgan's gone, Ben Stokes has gone, and Liam Plunkett has gone. All key components of that side. And then some of our old reliables have become less reliable. So Jason Roy has struggled. Moeen Ali kind of was in and out the squad in that World Cup, and again he hadn't hit a 50 until the last game, since the whole Ben Stokes entire narrative. So maybe like book 1 of Ben Stokes, book 2 of Ben Stokes, and almost the chapter of Ben Stokes, the third book as well, in terms of those narratives, and that's not a good list. However, I think the Warriors, the Nervous Nellies, in fact, we should give them their own name. So nervous.
Yeah, I like naming people.
Concerned cricketers is what I'm going to call them. I think that works.
We'll work on it. We'll workop that one.
Yeah. But you know the ones.
We'll be working around the clock on
the England fans.
but you know the ones, right?
It's a working title.
You know the ones. In fact, you may be one.
I mean, you built that up. You did really build that up. So concerned cricketers. It's not the finest, is it?
It's also not the worst. It's also not the worst. Is it? It's not hospitals from home. It's the new Tory policy. If they're, who they are, these people. If they're not having an existential crisis about the future of cricket, then do they even deserve to have an interest in English cricket or be an England fan? Sure. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
So I feel this is a bit of a storm in a teacup, lads. A reaction of being spoilt from success. And we have to remember, England are wearing 2 very heavy crowns. We've got the ODI crown, and we've got the T20 crown. We've got one big white ball crown.
Yeah.
And I'm just here to provide some calming reasoning to these concerned cricketers.
It's a good point, Ross. They say, don't they? In fact, when we spoke to Pujara, do you remember when we spoke to Pujara? He was like, it's really sometimes quite difficult being an India player because there's a lot of pressure. There's a massive nation of cricket nuts. Yeah, basically the biggest nation on the planet. Love this sport. Yeah, it can weigh heavy on you. Nowhere near as heavy as being 2-time world champion, I'd say. I think we can all agree that England is actually under the most pressure here. Not anyone else. I think it's an interesting one. I don't know. I actually sincerely don't think that the England camp in general are taking the series that seriously. They haven't picked a couple of quite important players. I mean, like Joe Root, they've just like, what do they forget to ring him up? Why isn't he there?
He's gone straight to New Zealand for the Test series. The Test series has to start for a couple of weeks.
They had to do things like bring Jofra Archer back in and get him to bowl 10 overs, and his comeback trail's quite long. Didn't he say he was like 60 to 80%?
Yeah,
that really showed in the 10 overs that he bowled in the first ODI. I watched almost all of that, and he was spraying it all over the place. Wasn't bowling particularly quick. I mean, Temba Bavuma was smashing him all over the ground in that match. Chris Wokes doesn't look particularly sharp as well. Hasn't played an ODI for a while, so I think there's England haven't got that many games to the World Cup, so ideally you don't get smashed in 2 of them. But also, I think there's quite a lot of mitigating circumstances. I don't think the batting order that we see in this series as well will be the one that we end up with.
No, I can't see
seeing England.
I can't see Ben Duckett being number 3 somehow, or David Milan opening. But it's worth trying these things out. Unfortunately, in the interest of debate,
we know that won't happen. We know Bairstow is going to come back in, so that's
huge. There's another. Stokes is retired.
We know Root's coming back in.
Bairstow,
probably Stokes is going to come back in.
Probably going to come back.
So there you go. You sorted out
2 different, basically 2 different bowling lineups. I think, and ultimately, the other thing we should remember here is that this South Africa side, we spoke about it the other day, Ross. They're actually quite good. They've got the second. They've got the second, if not the best bowling attack in the world in one-day cricket, I would say. And you saw Nokia in that first ODI basically just bowled too fast for everyone, and and then England lost. And that's going to happen from time to time when you're coming up against Samrik Nokia. And the other thing that's been holding back South Africa for the last half a year is the fact that they couldn't bat, and then they all remembered how to bat.
They're actually not bad in ODIs though. Like Rassie van der Dussen averages like 80.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. David Miller, I was going to call him Dawid Miller there. David Miller's a good guy to have down the order. Quinton de Kock and Bavuma, you're not arguing with them.
That's ODIs. A lovely top two, isn't it? They work nicely.
You can question Bavuma in T20 cricket all you want, but like that's a pretty decent left-hand, right-hand duo, good running between the wickets. They maybe don't have the batting depth of some of the other teams in the world.
So Markram's pretty good, I think, in the middle overs.
Markram's fine. Wayne Parnell is like their number 7.
Yeah.
That's what, so it does tail off. But
that's the other thing. England, I think South Africa batted well, but England with the ball just lacked a bit of penetration up top. Like you said, Jofra not fit, Chris Wokes not really played much. And
Ollie Stone and Topley, both sickly pups being nursed back to health as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with that South Africa lineup, if they do get a start, you can be in trouble. If you get a couple of early wickets, then like you say, their sort of short batting order could be a problem. But as it was, South Africa played really well. England are missing a few players. The bowling's not been that hot, and they lost a couple of pretty close. Well, the second game was a bit of a canter by the end, but the first game, England could probably should still have won it, even though they ended up losing by 27 runs in the end. So I agree that it's definitely not. It's nothing
to worry about. We're all good. Ross, anything else on this, or anything from the matches in general that you thought was quite good fun that you want to call out?
I think it just your point there. We are in a period of transition. I think with the people who have retired, people coming in, people playing in different positions. Like Moeen Ali batting at 6 is also a bit of a change up from that position, right? You've got Joss Butler taking on all the dad responsibilities, and we're going to need some senior players to take on some of those things. He can't. He can almost do everything, but he can't do absolutely everything. We've seen Jason Roy come back to a bit of form with his 100 for the first in
just needed that pep talk from me the other day, didn't he?
Exactly.
Yeah, I heard this. Yeah, what did you say? He was.
I said he was done. And then he goes and scores a ton.
And then we also have the schedule. So Ben Stokes obviously retired because of the schedule, and the concerned cricketers, who we beloved to call them.
Stop it! It's not happening.
It's not happening.
We know you love to hate that schedule.
I don't mind you naming these people, but you can't. The concerned cricketers is another name.
But playing Australia, for example, who we lost those 3 games to, or 2 games to, whatever, I think it was 3. After 3 days after winning the T20 World Cup. That was
I forgot that happened.
Yeah, we're administratively ridiculous.
Yeah.
And you should have bet your house on us losing those matches. Imagine climbing to the top of a mountain and the weeks of preparation and the sacrifice and the effort to go into it, and then the jubilation of your conquest, getting to the top of that mountain, and then someone just turns around and goes, "You got to go over there and climb that mountain now." Like,
I mean, they literally said themselves, "We don't want to be here. This is pointless."
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously that was dumb. I don't think this England team, to be perfectly honest, is as good as the 2019 one. I think that probably they're going to go into the World Cup as second or third favourites. If you're an England fan and you're like, "Oh, we've lost 5 in a row, we're terrible now," you're an idiot. Or if you're looking at England and being like, "Oh, they've lost 5 in a row," like the
end is nigh.
These boys, they're making excuses. We're not. They are still quite good, and they
take the positives. Harry Brook, nice 80.
Seriously, I've got one thing to say. Yeah. Winning bilateral series is nice, but winning proper trophies is better. Just ask all of our India fans.
But I do think that they're like Jason Roy. If he ends up being the opener at the World Cup, is a huge downgrade on Jason Roy in 2019. We haven't seen loads of root in ODI cricket over the last couple of years. I assume he's probably still quite good. If it ends up being Duckett over Stokes, that's probably not perfect either.
Good against spin, is in India though.
And Morgan is losing Morgan and playing Butler in that role, and whoever replaces Butler at 6/7 is a significant weakness as well. Morgan was really, really good as that hybrid player that could sometimes be your accumulator or another accumulator if you were wickets down, and sometimes be the guy who teed off. Liam Livingston and Moeen Ali are a bit more one-dimensional than that.
I think long term it's Harry Brook for that role, isn't it?
Yeah, maybe. I don't really love Butler at number 5. I don't think he is. I think his strength is the explosiveness, not the stability and accumulation. I don't think he does that as well. So
averages 40 at 118. That is pretty bloody good in ODI cricket.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. But if you look at where he does it,
I agree. Oh, yeah, no, I agree.
It's not the middle overs. And what you really want at number 5 is somebody that can come in the 25th over and basically bat to the 40th.
Set it up for Josh Butler to come in after him and
go through the gears in the traditional sense. And it literally do that. Set it up for Josh Butler to come in with 10 overs to go and just destroy the game, basically. I don't know, if you're an England fan, you've still got a decent chance of winning the World Cup, haven't you?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. Bit more clarity on role.
Anything else before we take a little break?
The only other bit is Adil Rashid. He is such an important cog in our piece that people sometimes forget. We need to manage the fitness of our pace bowlers, but Adil Rashid is critical to us ever defending a total, I think.
Especially in India.
Yeah. So let's, if you're an England fan, let's hope he stays fit. Cool. Right, we are going to take a break and we'll be back in 1 minute.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.